let's start with the definition of what is congestion pricing. And so basically, congestion pricing uses prices that change to help manage demand on a roadway. And a question that we get a lot is why? Why would we want to variably change prices? What's the point of this? And so the majority of drivers on the roads during rush hours are actually not commuters. And if you think about it, that kind of always blows my mind, because why would somebody be driving around during rush hour if they don't have to? But the reality is a lot of folks make trips that they could be making outside of rush hour. And so we found that pricing, more than vehicle restrictions, more than urban growth boundaries, more than anything like that, is the best way to actually manage behavior. Pricing actually increases the throughput of roadway capacity, and I have a little graph on that in a minute to show why that is. It has to deal with roadways actually can handle the most traffic when folks are going about 45, 50 miles an hour, not when they're going 70. Provides a reliable virtual exclusive busway for transit. I think this is a big key for the metro LA region. There's simply not the resources to build light rail lines everywhere. And in many cases, bus lines could be more effective. Instead of getting stuck in the same traffic as passenger vehicles, these buses can take advantage of these toll lanes and move around much more readily. The congestion pricing can also help pay for the facility construction, operations, and maintenance. Now, as Kome said, it's not the number one goal to raise revenue from these lanes, and expecting the revenue raised to pay for the entire cost is not going to be realistic on most facilities, but it can certainly contribute. And then it also reduces the roadway externalities such as greenhouse gas emissions. So how does congestion pricing work? And at the bottom here, I have quite a primitive, perhaps ugly looking graph here looking at congestion pricing, but I could not pull something good from the website, so I made my own. So I like to say that free lanes suffer from what I call the Goldilocks scenario. And the Goldilocks scenario is something that you also see in carpool lanes, those high occupancy vehicle lanes with restrictions. Either those lanes and GP lanes are too hot, meaning they've got too many vehicles, or they're too cold, meaning there's not enough vehicles. The problem then is, how do you create a lane that has a consistent travel time and a consistent quality experience? And we found that using pricing does that. What this graph shows very much is speed of traffic is actually the one on the y-axis, the 20, 40, 60, 80. And the one on the x-axis is the number of vehicles per lane. And you see that once you get to a certain speed, it starts about 60 miles an hour, the number of vehicles that a lane can contribute actually goes down significantly. And so one of the goals of pricing is to hit that sweet spot, as we call it, of between about 45 and 55, when you can maximize your occupancy, just get more vehicles through. I have here a little map locations with congestion pricing. This map actually shows something else. In addition, it shows public-private partnerships, which I don't really want to get into today. But the purpose of why I'm showing is just these variably priced toll lanes are becoming very popular around the country. San Francisco, LA, Denver, Texas, Florida, Georgia. It's something that started in California with the State Road 91 lanes, but as more and more places encounter really bad congestion, it's spreading. And of course, in the Inland Empire, we can see that with plans for lanes on I-15 and I-215, and some expansions, I believe, on 10 as well, which should help significantly. I want to mention quickly 21st century tolling. And the reason I mention this is because these variably priced lanes, there's obviously a charge to use them. Some people are under the misconception that there's toll booths or toll operators or something like that, and it's nothing like that. This 21st century has what we call a toll gantry, which is an overhead device that basically is able to note when a vehicle goes under the device, and it notes it by communicating with the toll transponder, which is basically just a window sticker. And so I like to say that the transponders speak with the toll gantries. The customers are then sent a bill in the mail or funds are withdrawn from the account. There's a couple different ways to do this. Normally, folks will open an account and they will put a certain balance in, such as $25 or $35. When that balance drops below a certain point, then the funds will be usually via credit card put back into the account. There's also an option to prepay with cash for those who don't feel comfortable with credit cards. And this has been generally very popular, especially compared with toll booths and toll collectors. It's much safer. There's lower administrative costs. You need less right-of-way. This is how all of the variably priced lanes in Southern California work. But I think it's important to look at how tolling, not just these variably priced lanes, but more lanes as we move forward, is probably going to be something that we're going to see. So the concept of transportation funding has been based on you pay for what you use, what we call users pay, users benefit. And the most popular mechanism of that has been the gas tax, which has charged folks for the number of gallons of gasoline used. And the idea is, or has been at least over the past 50 years, that the number of gallons of gasoline used is a proxy for travel distance. Now, the problem with that is now with electric vehicles, hybrids, advances in engine technology, that's no longer true. You have a vehicle, we can consider the Teslas, for example. They don't use any gas at all, but they use just as much roadway as everybody else. You think of a hybrid vehicle like a Toyota Prius, obviously uses consistently less gas than the same size vehicle that runs on traditional motors. Most of the folks who are using congestion pricing do so for an average of once a week. They don't do it for every trip. The five most popular vehicles that we see in those lanes are Toyotas, Hondas, and the Ford F-150. They're not Jaguars or Lexuses or anything like that. So we certainly don't see only the wealthy using these lanes. Oftentimes we found in surveys that a lot of lower income workers actually value them more, simply because they may have jobs that they need to get to at a certain point in time. They may need to pick up a child from daycare. These lanes are not designed, to be used every day. They're designed to be used in a pinch, probably once a week, maybe twice a week.